now, as the general elections in 2014 inch closer, India is gearing up for what could possibly be a radical change in governance and a new Prime Minister. With politics today being dominated less by ideologies and more by personalities, winning elections boils down to the leader who has the strongest personal appeal. And as the pieces in the great Indian political jigsaw puzzle finally begin to fall in place, the country seems to have two prominent faces that seem to be competing on their party's behalf to win this very crucial poll. Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi, two distinct personalities, two clashing ideologies, and two brands that are as different as chalk and cheese. Who among the two has the ability to swing the votes? The reluctant heir apparent to the Nehru legacy who is credited with bringing realism to the Congress? Or the controversial leader from Gujarat who is now being hailed as the only development-oriented politician in India? Which contender is going to win this crucial race, and how equally matched are these two brands as of now? NIkhil Sivadas and Nikita Saxena find out.
When the world's largest democracy goes to the polls, the result is a battle royale. And the 2014 elections will be no different. But this time around, it's the lack of candidates for the Prime Minister's post that is making the news. For starters, neither side is willing to specify who their candidate will be. But while the parties may be silent, two names are already doing the rounds among the voters. One, the heir apparent to the Gandhi dynasty, Rahul Gandhi. And whether he likes it or not, the face of the Congress party's future. The other, Narendra Modi. The dark horse who went from being nowhere in the BJP league tables to being one of the most successful chief ministers in Indian politics.
Both the parties at the moment are not yet busy selling either brand Rahul or brand Modi. Whatever is happening is more driven by the individuals themselves and their own machinery rather than the official party machinery getting into gear yet.
All of which make the upcoming elections a clash of personalities as much as ideologies. Rahul's shy, almost reluctant approach to the massive responsibility that is being thrust upon him versus Modi's determined, in-your-face and no-holds-barred wish to take the Prime Minister's seat. So what do these two political brands have going for them? For starters, the players themselves seem to be polar opposites. Narendra Modi is stubborn and unapologetic about his policies. He takes pride in standing out among his party members and leverages any opportunity he gets to make himself heard as a national force to reckon with.
The common man sees Modi as a man who means what he says and he is out to deliver. He is a performer. He has proved himself in Gujarat.
On the other hand, Rahul Gandhi seems to be a politician whose introverted behavior and unwillingness to interact with either the media or a majority of his voters has almost become his signature style. But one cannot rule a nation of 1 billion people by being aloof. If Modi inspires either extreme love or hate because of his ideologies, Rahul inspires something much worse: indifference and widespread confusion over what he stands for.
Modi's problem is that he is too strong a brand, which does not give him much leeway for accommodating any other kind of an idea or any flexibility. Rahul Gandhi's problem is that he's too weak a brand, in that people don't really have a precise sense of A, his willingness to lead, and B, what, if he were to lead, what are his ideas on a whole range of national issues, because he's been silent on a whole lot of them.
He is not a charismatic leader. He is a good-looking, handsome young man. And that, it turns out, is not a good enough reason to thrill the people of India.
But let's leave personalities aside for a minute. What about their leadership styles?
Let's face it, Modi's leadership skills are undisputable. At a time when the Indian economy is basically slowing down under the UPA, he has transformed Gujarat into an investor's paradise. What's more, his recent landslide victory in Gujarat basically cements his status as an able administrator.
Don't forget, Nikhil, Rahul Gandhi did manage to turn some heads around when he led Congress to its landslide victory in 2009. Unfortunately, this was followed by an equally dismal showing at the UP Assembly elections in 2012. For a voter like me, what makes matters worse is Rahul's abysmal presence at the Parliament and his refusal to take a stance on any issue.
For someone who was once hailed as the young blood that would save the Congress, Rahul Gandhi has consistently alienated not just the youth but the middle class as well. Be it the Delhi gang rape protest that shook the nation last year, the anti-corruption movement, or even a defined economic vision. Rahul's stance on all these issues has been the same, non-existent.
He has been sending a consistent message to India's urban middle class that he doesn't really care about them. He doesn't care about their hopes, he doesn't care about their dreams, he doesn't care about their aspirations. After that horrific rape incident in Delhi, his response was to send a press release from somewhere abroad. He was not in Parliament today when there was a vote on the rape bill. So he seems to think that he can ignore the aspirations of the educated urban classes and focus on this sort of folksy 1970s version of, I spent a night in a Dalit hut and look at Kalavati who doesn't have electricity.
Here is where he contrasts himself with Modi. Modi wants to rush into power. Modi is obsessive about power. Modi in fact thinks power is a kind of complan that he can drink and become more energetic. Rahul is much more thoughtful, much more reflective. But remember, a lot of this reflectiveness turns out to be passive because Rahul hardly says anything. One wishes someone would give him a bit of dialogue to deliver in some kind of cameo performance.
Rahul Gandhi's dismal showing in terms of personality, leadership style and mass appeal seems to have doomed his chances from the start. And with only a year to go for the elections, Modi seems all set to tee off into 7 Racecourse Road.